818 715 815.
Hello, good afternoon. You're very welcome to Liveline. Colm O'Mungan here. If you want to contact us from the north or abroad, you can get us on 08457 853333. You can send us voice notes on WhatsApp at 087 484 8888 51551 for your text, or joe@rte.ie for your emails. Tom Considine, good afternoon to you.
Hi Colm, how are you?
If you were doing a spec on a job for 18 bikes outside a building, what would be the upper limit, allowing for all contingencies, cost overruns, delays, weather and the rest of it? What do you think the top price would be?
The very top price for a high spec shelter, I would think would be in the region of 50 or 60,000 for the shelter element installed. But I wouldn't like the message to go out there that all bicycle shelters will cost 50 or 60,000 or even 120 or 300,000. You can have a very nice 20 bike shelter installed in your car park for 8,000 plus VAT.
Right. So I mean, look, obviously we're talking about this in connection with the Leinster House, the infamous, at this stage, Leinster House bike shed, coming in at, let's round it to €336,000. It accommodates 18 bikes. So even if there was drainage and resurfacing works of 52,000, and even if there was archaeological works on top of that, you're still nowhere near, you're not even approaching 150,000 in that case.
Correct, yeah.
So when you look at the breakdown of the cost, I don't know whether you've looked down, Micheál Lehane, RT's Micheál Lehane has published a breakdown of the costs. He's also said, by the way, that the OPW told authorities in Leinster House 3 years ago that installing an uncovered bicycle parking area outside the members' restaurant would have been the cost-effective option. So what's the difference in price between an uncovered bike parking area and a full-on shelter with a roof, which, in the case of this one, some users have complained doesn't even cover their bikes?
Oh, well, there would be a big difference. If it was uncovered, you're basically just buying bicycle racks or Sheffield stands, similar to what you see on the streets in Dublin there. I mean, they'd be running, you'd buy a stainless steel Sheffield stand for about €200 each. So, you know, however many stands, I think I looked at the photographs today, I think there's only 13 stands on that shelter. So you'd be into a small, 2,600 stands plus the installation cost. Be considerably cheaper. It obviously gets more expensive when you provide weather protection and enclose the shelter.
Right, but so €121,000, €121,194 29 cent were spent on steelworks.
That would appear to be for the shelter structure.
Right. So the Sheffield stainless steel, you're talking about this like an inverted U with a slightly square bottom on it that the bike. Yeah. And that's if you embedded them in concrete in a normal car park. But if you're to put a layer of granite underneath that to be in keeping with the building, I mean, what are you talking about? Have you ever done a job where there's been stone paving underneath them?
Well, no. Typically, we've been in safety storage systems. We've been manufacturing shelters now for 20 years. And it's really just a shelter element that we're concerned with, you know. And typically we would go into a customer and fit it on their existing hard surface, be that concrete or paving or tarmac. I note in the breakdown that they've said 44,000 for granite. I don't know. I don't know the area involved. I'm sure it's expensive, and it would depend on what level of groundworks needs to be done before they put in the granite. So I wouldn't be an expert on the granite element of it, to be honest.
Right, but I suppose, where would the biggest part of your cost be? I mean, you said, you know, it's relatively cheap to buy the Sheffield stands, the stainless steel stands at about €200 a pop. It's labour, is it? Is that the most expensive part of it? And how long would it take to put one in?
I'd say for us, you know, we installed a very nice shelter, for instance, at the main entrance to James's Hospital. It's a fully enclosed shelter, tough and glass. At the time, it was storage for 50 bikes. The staff there use swipe access to get in and out. So it's fully enclosed, fully secure, very nice shelter. And that would have cost in the region of 80,000. So that's for very high end.
And that's everything, is it? Did you put in the swipe enabled electrics, or did they do that themselves?
The customer did that. St James's did that themselves, but we supplied, manufactured, and installed a shelter for approximately 80,000. Right. The customer that was an existing paved area. The customer put in some concrete pads for us to fix to.
Right. So and that was around 80,000, but the customer themselves put in some basic work. But you wouldn't imagine
some enabling works. Yes.
Yeah. That.
It would have been small money there. Yeah. Yeah.
And a bit on the electrics then, obviously, and that they were security compatible to make it swipeable.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you're giving us estimates here that are anywhere between a fifth and a third of the price of the job in Leinster House. Now, obviously, look, the spec you're talking about is different. Yes. And at the risk of doing yourself out of an upper price limit on future work, I mean, are you left scratching your head by how this cost accumulated, or how even, delays or only being allowed work on certain days would even begin to try and account for this?
Yeah, I'm sure it all contributes. Our expertise is on the shelter side. They're saying 121,000 for the shelter element. It would still seem expensive to me, without seeing a drawing in a spec, but looking at it from the photographs and doing back of the envelope costings, I would think shelter for about 50, 60.
Okay, so the breakdown as it stands is 121,000, as I say, €194.29. That's steel works, but it says manufacturing, supply and installation. 53,000 roughly spent on groundworks, including drainage and surfacing, and the cost of granite landscaping, 44,940. And then it says €30,468.69 was spent on day works, while almost 35,000 of costs related to preliminaries and agreed variations. I'm not clear whether that includes the archaeological work or not. But if you don't, if you'll pardon the ignorance, what are day works?
Day works, it would be, as I understand it, would be daily rate for labour on site.
Right, so that's...
And it could, one would presume that the shelter price included supply and install, so the labour element would have been included in that, but there might have been overruns on labour for different people. Different trades might have had to attend site for different reasons.
Right. You seem to be right on that, because the 121 odd thousand says supply and installation, and the 53,000 was spent on groundworks, including drainage and resurfacing, which would seem to include labour in that. Granite landscaping, 44,000. Not sure whether that's INCLA or EXCLA labour, as it might be read on the invoice, but 30,000 on day works anyway, and 35 grand on agreed variations. You're still finding it difficult to see how all of that fits into somewhere between 335 and 336,000 euro.
Yeah. I mean, it's expensive. There's no question about it. It's certainly expensive for what you get at the end. But I'm not privy to the vagaries of that particular site or what they met. All I know is, from our point of view, you will park that many bikes for a fraction of the price.
Right.
And I'd like that to be the takeaway for people who are considering putting in a bicycle shelter.
Right. And are you at the upper or the lower end of the market, Tom? When you go out to price a job, is it a competitive market installing bike sheds? Or are there a lot of providers like yourself who do these kind of works? And as a result, I suppose, is it price competitive?
It definitely is price competitive, because you can go online and you can buy a shelter online that's delivered to you in kit form. And then we would have a range from standard. The curved shelter is the most common shelter that you'll see in schools and industry, office parks, and it is price competitive, definitely. Yeah, there are plenty of suppliers.
Right. And if a customer came to you with a spec and said, "Look, you can't work on this between 10 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, Tuesday to Thursday. You can only work Mondays and Fridays, and there may be some weekend work required," how much of a premium does that put on the price, in case, drilling, installation, that kind of thing interferes with noise, interferes with the goings on inside the building? Have you ever had a spec like that where you're given certain hours and you have to work around their working day?
Yeah, certainly there would be jobs where you could only install after hours or install on weekend, but it would only affect the labour element of your job, you know. So the common 20 bike shelter that we supply and install for 8,000 on existing hard surface for a customer, if that had to be done at weekend, it might add 1,000 or 2,000 to the overall cost. You know, 20% maybe. Your 8,000 shelter might become 10,000.
And do you know many other companies working in this area? And are you on speaking terms with them? Is this, you know, the talk of the bike shed installing community at this stage?
Well, you know, it would be, but I suppose people wouldn't be entirely surprised either, given, you know.
Oh.
Well, no, I suppose we don't. It's hard to comment because we don't know what the entire scope of the job was, how big an area. You know, was it literally just the ground around the shelter? Was an awful lot of enabling works to be done? You know, you need to know more about the job. But I think everybody, even people who are not involved in bicycle shelters, anyone would concede that it's for what they got at the end, it was very expensive. That's for sure.
And is there a difference between the price that's paid by the public sector and prices paid by the private sector in the general run of things for jobs like these?
No, not for us anyway. No. Our shelter price is our shelter price. It wouldn't matter who the customer is.
Right. And how do you get the work, if you don't mind me asking? Do you have to put in for a tender process above a certain price, or what way does it work when you're looking for work like this?
Well, typically, if it was public sector, it would be tender, maybe on e-tenders, that portal, that website, but then for us, a lot of our customers would be, you know, business to business. That'd be, as I say, schools, hospitals, industry offices, and they would find us on the internet, safetystories.ie.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Betty, you've been listening to Tom, and you've been listening to the news of the bike shelter since the story first broke. €336,000, I say. Tom says he's slightly mystified as to how that bill racked up. He's puzzled. You're angry.
Yeah, sorry, my voice is a bit hoarse now at the minute. I'm wondering who signed off on €350,000. That quote was given before that bike shed was done. Your listener there, Tom, €8,000 for a normal bike shed. We're talking gold here.
I mean, I suppose once the reasons for this overrun, or whether it was an overrun or not, or what the sign-off was, becomes clear. But anyway, you don't agree without coming to the conclusion before any look into it is had. You certainly don't agree with this, and you can think of better uses for €336,000.
Well, as you know, your researcher rang me there a couple of weeks ago before the abuse stories went on air with Joe Duffy. She has 2 autistic children. One of them she had to pay €8,000 to have assessed. That was between specialists and the whole lot. The second lad, non-verbal, she cannot get assessment on the HSE. They noticed at a year and a half that he was special. He's 3.5 now, and they have to wait between 2 to 3 years more to have that child assessed. They were willing to try and find the money to get him assessed privately, and there's a 2-year waiting list on that. Now, I reckoned up, Colin, if you just bear with me for a minute, 350 or €340,000 would pay for 14 special needs teachers per year, would pay 14 nurses' wages per year. This is absolutely ludicrous. I have 6 children and they're paying up to 100 grand a year in tax. Now, I deserve to know what is going to be done about this. I don't want to put on the long finger. I don't want to have to say that I can't stand living in Ireland anymore. I want to go abroad because I just can't take it.
All right, Neil Hogan, you've been listening you've been listening into this. You've heard Tom. I don't know whether you were listening to Tom there, who ran us through the spec. I mean, you think he gave us an upper limit of about €80,000 in his experience of installing these things. Maybe not with the granite trimmings, but we're still only clearing 100,000 at this stage, and nowhere near the 336. But
if it cost 50 grand, I'd still have been a surprise. But look,
Right. You
Maybe
installed
there's-
one
maybe
yourself,
there's
did you?
things I did, just at the side of my driveway. I'm very proud of it. And I'm looking at it right now outside my kitchen window.
All right, describe it to us. Describe.
Well, it's
set
a
the
U.
scene there.
It's like you described, an inverted U one. So I bought that from a company. They delivered it to the house, which is great. I think it cost about €100 10 years ago, a bit less than €100.
Including delivery.
Including delivery,
Including
yeah.
delivery,
It was
okay.
a really great guy. Great little company, and they dropped it round. I just bought one. I didn't think they'd deal with someone just buying one, you know. So, but he dropped it round personally, and I went down, got 3 bags of fast-setting concrete.
All right, how much was that?
I can't remember, but they're not that expensive, you know.
Okay.
I've no idea. I wouldn't remember. I'd say maybe €20 a bag, you know, fast-setting concrete.
Right, did you have to hire a
Maybe.
cement mixer or did you mix it yourself?
No. You mix it yourself and just pour it in and work fast because it sets fast. And uprooted a couple of bricks from the side of my driveway, dug the hole maybe 18 inches deep. And
Did you find any archaeological remains down there while you were digging? No lost treasures,
No.
buried Vikings,
No.
ancient artifacts.
No, not at all. No, it's not an 18th century house, thank
Right.
God. But no, it's just people should do it. It's
Okay,
a
so
great
so
thing,
100 quid
you know?
for the steel, whatever.
Let's say 100 quid and €20 a bag. So maybe
That's 100. We're up to 160.
200.
Let's say
Yeah,
even let's give an
yeah.
upper limit of a £5 each for that. How many bricks did you have to uproot? Would you say?
Oh, the bricks. Maybe
20,
no, about
10,
12 bricks. I'd
12
say
bricks. Even
10,
if we said
12 bricks.
let's call them a £5 a pop.
And sorry, I did have to. God, you're being very precise here. So I better tell you, I also used a concrete block. So you split that. I split that into. I used half of the block.
2 halves of
cut
a
in
cavity
half.
block
So
to
2
have a
quarters,
ready-made holder for your 2 legs.
Both of the ends, the 2 ends of the U stand into the concrete blocks, and then put the concrete block sitting in into the 2 holes, and then poured the fast-setting concrete around it. So I'm very proud of it. I reckon you could smash a digger truck into it and it wouldn't give away.
Have you tried?
You know.
Anybody
No, I
anybody
haven't.
accidentally backed into it yet in the family?
Well, loads of vans back up onto my driveway because I'm kind of the second last house, so they back up. It's a cul-de-sac, so they back up. And I used to always be afraid, will they back up into my front door? But I've no worries now because they wouldn't get past that bicycle stand.
And have any of them given it a knock?
Nobody's given it up that I know of. Maybe they have, but it hasn't budged.
Right.
You know.
So,
listen.
you're looking at. Not including your own labour, which I'm sure doesn't come. I'm sure doesn't come cheap. But I'm so far only calculating about 250 quid to get in this bike stand, plus the peace of mind that it gives you for the fans not backing through the door of your house.
Sorry, say that again.
Well, it's giving you peace of mind, an invaluable peace of mind as well. That vans won't back through the door of your mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
I can rest easy.
Right. Yeah, you haven't installed a library by any chance, Neil, because I see Michael McDowell, the Senator, former Attorney General, Minister for Justice, also writing about the cost of changing a library in the Houses of the Oireachtas into a speaking chamber, so Dáil business can be run at the same time, and the works on that are apparently going to cost €3.7 million, and then another €1.6 million ongoing every year. That's Michael McDowell writing in the Irish Times. The source of that is the House of the Oireachtas. Okay, so
I do have a lot of books, and I'm pretty handy at putting up shelves as a result of buying all the books over the years.
Well,
So,
this would be taking down shelves and installing desks, I think, and a few microphones. Could you turn your hand to that?
No problem.
Right.
No problem.
And how would you be as a fitness instructor, Neil? Are you a good motivator?
A good motivator.
Yeah. Are you good for geeing, geeing up the troops?
Yeah, well, I can motivate myself. I don't know about motivating others, but yeah, I suppose I could crack the whip and get people into shape, all right.
Right.
You know?
Have you? Do you go to the gym?
I swim a lot, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I'm an old age pensioner now, right? So I've got to stay in shape. So yeah, I'd swim maybe every second day, and on the other days I would do a 20k cycle.
Right.
So I'm about to go out for the cycle today.
Well, the freelance journalist Gordon Deegan, who submits a lot of freedom of information requests and supplies them to a lot of national newspapers. I see the Irish Examiner is publishing a story today that almost €190,000 is to be spent on a fitness instructor. I don't know whether that's multiple fitness instructors or anyway, there's for TDs and senators in Leinster House. So when you got done at €200 a pop for the 18 bike stands, we're up to 3,600. You're nearly doing the shelf destruction for free. You could you will negotiate that price later. How much under 190,000? How much under 190,000 euro do you think you'd come in to supplement your pension as a fitness instructor there? It's 3,390 euro per month.
Well, for the whole house, I would say you could divide that by at least 100.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, cheap at the
price. If my maths is right.
Cheap at the price, Neil. Number with Liveline. You'd be happy for us to pass it on to the Houses of the Oireachtas if they have any work going.
Oh, I'm ready. I'll unlock my bike from the stand and I'll be around at the Dáil within 12 minutes.
You don't sound like an old age pensioner, Neil. Not that there's a single sound of it, but you've obviously, all the swimming is obviously keeping your voice in good trim.
Yeah, and I'm 2 days off the cigarettes as well. Maybe that's... wish me luck on that, will you?
Yeah, the very best of luck. Take it one day at a time. I know one individual who swore by Hall's Mentholyptus menthol sweets to give them that sort of, to replicate the old inhaled menthol sweets or menthol chewing gum or the like. So yeah, hopefully.
Well, after I've cycled around to the Dáil to give them my advice in the library, I'll head into town then and get the what did you call them again?
The which? Oh, the menthol sweet of your choice, Neil. We won't be prescriptive. All right.
All right. Listen, thanks for the call.
Not a worry, Neil, and thanks to Betty and Tom before that as well. Back in a minute.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.